all boils down to making the right trade-offs, whether it is in costs and investments or whether it is in areas that we choose to grow in. And as CFOs, I think we definitely are in the front of the queue when supporting the CEO to figure out which are the areas for future growth and how best we can tailor our operating costs and our business model to get there.
The good CFOs, you are considered as a transformational leader. And what I mean by a transformational leader is you are there as a business partner with the management team, the leadership team, the managing director, whatever you call. And you are there as a business partner, you are there as a thought leader. And if that be the case, you are virtually involved in everything of the business. You are there on strategy, you are there on everything. So I think right from strategy to execution, everything of business, you are there. And then the second deliverable or the second hat of the CFO is corporate governance, risk management. And once again, that's linked to growth. So if you look at both the hats, the business partnering hat, the thought leadership hat, and the governance and risk management, I think you are almost there like a mini CEO.
Learn to change the flat tire while the car is running, essentially, or tying your shoelaces when you are on the rollerblades. So managing, I think for us, managing hyper growth in an industry which is growing 10 to 15% month on month. One is, of course, to support the business, to be able to grow, and the role is much broader, whether it is legal, whether it is internal controls, whether it is M&A, whether it is, so various functions roll up into the CFO. But I think the other thing which is a constant challenge for a person like me is how do you make sure that the systems and processes in the company kind of cope up with the hyper growth. And so you also at times have to play the role of a watchdog, where while everybody is extremely bullish on growth, you sometimes have to come and say, okay, we need to kind of invest in systems and processes, invest in organizational building, which becomes very, very critical when you are in a hyper-growth scenario.
Just because you're in a growing economy means nothing unless you understand what you as a company need to do to basically climb that growth curve by building the capabilities that are necessary to drive growth. And capabilities are essentially a combination of processes, systems, people that when you kind of pull them together can allow a company to outcompete and differentiate itself in a way that none of its competitors.
You get into an investment mode there, you're putting your resources there, but at the same time, very important to measure that on a regular basis with milestones to make sure that they are also being put to the right use. And at the same time, you would have resources which are being deployed, which are not necessarily going to give you any immediate returns. I mean, take example in our activity, you buy out, let's say, problem assets from some other bank or a non-bank finance company. For immediateness, there's a big pain on the P&L. I mean, you'd possibly take a hit immediately. But if your long-term activity, your long-term vision is that you want to grow this business and your belief is it's going to pay off in the medium term and whatnot, go after it and then keep measuring that whether your judgment is correct or not. So it's not something which is static. You need to keep evaluating as you go along, but somewhere we clearly have to balance between what is an immediate requirement and what is strategy.
Organization has to change in order for us to deliver the strategy. What did that mean? That would mean deciding the level of centralization and decentralization in corporate and the regions, deciding what to do with the matrix, deciding how much autonomy to give the countries and the country managers, deciding the role of the functions, how much command and control should certain functions have versus functions sitting in the businesses. Changing and fine-tuning the organization structure and thinking really importantly about leadership talent. How do we grow the bench? How do we grow global managers? How do we grow global leaders?
Everybody wants power, but at the same time, if you want to work together, you have to yield power. So this mindset of saying, can we win together, instead of saying, I want to be a jack of all trades, is an important one. And the visualization I always give to people is, we are not playing cricket match here. However much we love cricket in India, that doesn't work in business. I would rather have play football, where I'm measuring people on number of times they set up a pass. And whoever is in the right place to score wins. I mean, he goes and scores. It doesn't matter who scores. It could be the midfield, it could be the quarterback, I don't care, as long as scoring the goal. That would mean people sacrifice for the common good of the business. That's not an easy mindset to get into. And if you get those pieces aligned, believe me, then you can have a business where people are willing to sacrifice for the greater good of the business. Then Fit for Growth is